Hi, it's Kimberly with Northwest Pepper, and I'm here to give you just a few tips to get you ready for our upcoming Quilted Sneaker Workshop. I'm so excited and I can't wait to see you there, so stay tuned. As you get ready for your workshop, there are a few tools that you'll want to make sure that you have. First would be a multi-punch tool. This cuts different sizes of holes, and you'll need it for the soles of your shoes as well as the holes that'll be used for your laces. A leather scratch awl will help punch holes through the rubber soles. And you'll also want to check out different eyelet kits. We'll have some of those available, but you can check those out online. So starting with cutting out the pattern, it depends on where you purchased the pattern. If you went with the Tandy leather kit, you'll have your pattern included. If you went with the sneakerkit.eu, you'll have to download your pattern in your size, cut it out. But this pattern from the sneakerkit.eu includes the holes you'll need for your soles. So just keep that in mind, because a part of your prep will be to actually go ahead and trace those holes and transfer them to your pattern if what you got was this Tandy leather version of the sneaker kit. So the pattern comes with your selected size, and you have different options for what you can cut out with the pattern. So you're going to go ahead and cut out the pieces of the pattern. The tongues are the same regardless of which pattern you choose. There's also an optional piece, a back tab that would go to the back of your shoe, your outsole. Here I'm using a 28mm rotary cutter, which is really helpful in getting around all those tight curves. Of course, be careful. I'm not using a ruler or anything as a guide, just kind of keeping the paper steady as I cut out. And I'm cutting out to the outside of the lines of the pattern pieces. Another difference you'll find between the sneaker kit pattern and the Tandy leather pattern is with the Tandy leather pattern, you actually get individual pieces for each shoe. So you'll have a pattern piece for the left shoe and a pattern piece for the right shoe. With the sneaker kit pattern, you have one pattern piece that you flip to the other side to do the opposite shoe. So another thing to keep in mind as you work with these patterns. As you cut out the pattern pieces, make sure that you also take care to cut out the notches. Next is the very important part of prep, which is tracing and punching the holes for both the soles of your shoes as well as your laces. First, you want to start by adjusting your multi-punch tool to the appropriate size for the holes you're cutting. Starting with the soles, either 2 or 2.5mm works fine. You'll use the pattern in your size from sneakerkit.eu. And wherever you see the little holes along the bottom for the sole, you're going to punch a hole through the paper. You can use your scratch awl, but it'll be a bit messier. So I'll just go through the process here of first cutting the holes on the sneaker kit version of the pattern. Once I have that, I'll trace those holes onto my Tandy leather version of the kit. So ultimately, the version of the pattern, whichever it is that I'm going to use for my final product, I need to have those holes punched through. Because when it comes time for class, one of the things that we're going to do is take these pattern pieces and trace them onto the material that you're going to use for your outsole. So that's why it's important to go ahead and include this as one of your prep steps. Starting out by punching these holes through the paper allows you to easily trace those holes onto your fabric. And this will be really important once you come to that final step of stitching on the soles. One of the biggest challenges makers have encountered with this project has been trying to push that harness needle through that rubber sole as well as the materials you've used for the outsole. So the key to making this process easier is to basically pre-drill the holes on both the sole as well as your materials. After your patterned pieces are ready, it's time to think about quilting that sneaker. A couple of good choices for batting are Soft and Stable by Annie. It gives great structure and body to the finished product. Wool batting is another great choice due to the loft, and also both products remain breathable. That wool batting really shows off your quilting as well. You can also use scraps, maybe left over from a quilted garment, as I've done here. You just need to make sure that you can fit your pattern pieces and capture the piece of the quilting that you want to include. And once you've prepped your pattern pieces, quilted or selected the material you want to use for your outsole, you're ready for class. So I'll see you there.